what I have been saying for weeks is if people want to play here, these are the people who I want on the team. And if someone says, I know that Chicago is the place for me, that's who I want on my team.
Absolutely.
If they want to be here, I want them here. 100%. Welcome to Red Stars Report. I'm your host, LT.
And I'm Grant, and I'm the co-host.
And Grant, we got Sam Staab.
Yes, we did. And guess what, LT?
What's up?
Think, and I know like this is like premature because it's only January 14th, right?
Go ahead.
I think I know who's going to fill my void of the jersey.
Really? Okay.
This is a huge get.
It is
like
huge.
When I saw the news, I literally was like, oh my God. If like, and we can talk about free agency stuff later, but if we don't get, other high profile free agents, yeah, right there, boom, new person for the back of the jersey.
I mentioned to you about how I was going to go on a rant this episode because I was so sick of the negativity that I was seeing in the community. I was sick of the like Mallory Swanson's our only player if we sign her back, and that kind of all that talk. Like I really wasn't having it, and I kept telling people like things are coming. Like this club isn't just doing nothing, and especially like on a day where you were also getting at least 5 draft picks, and like there are the teams building. And Friday finished and the community was full of positivity because of everything that happened. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the draft later on and the positivity that kind of came from that. But first, we should discuss Sam Staab, who joins the Red Stars in a trade with the Washington Spirit. The Red Stars gave up their 3rd overall pick in the draft, which Washington turned into midfielder Croy Bethune, who we had mentioned on the last podcast, expecting her to be one of the top picks. Last year, she was a finalist for Defender of the Year, NWSL Best 11 team honors, a 3-time Iron Woman, 3 times. She's played every single minute of the season. That's insane.
What's not to love? That's the question.
Here's some things that I love about Sam Staab. She's known for her very long throw-ins.
Yes.
Which, like, who doesn't want that on their team? Like, watching her throw a ball from the sideline all the way into the box is exciting. Every time she does it, it's very exciting.
Majestic.
And she's also known for her left-footed set pieces, which are just some of the best you'll find in the league, which poses an interesting question because prior to last season, the Red Stars had Mal taking set pieces, corners. And then with Mal out last season, Julia Bianchi had been taking them. Now Sam Staab comes in. Is there going to be some kind of competition between who's taking these set pieces, some kind of rotation?
I think Sam should do it. Final answer.
My thought was like Mal will take the ones for right-footed corners or set pieces. Sam could take the left-footed ones. Bianchi could do any set piece near the top of the box. Although she did score an Olympico in that Mexico game, which was a sight to see. So I wouldn't want to lose her on the corners either. I think they should probably just maybe keep Mal on those as a top of the box, like rebounder, cleanup, garbage man, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
So she does have a little work to do on the defensive end. She's not the
Just a
greatest,
little.
just a little. She's not the greatest tackler in the world. I'm confident that she can get there under the coaching of Lauren Donaldson. She had just signed an extension with the Spirit through 2025, so we'll have her for at least 2 seasons, which that's great. That's jersey worthy, Grant.
It is jersey worthy. Thank you. But again, it is January 14th. A lot of time left. But she has moved to the top.
I love it.
It might be
Fact.
controversial, but yeah.
Fun fact about Sam Staab is she was a teammate of both Mallory Swanson and Shayna Matthews, who just retired this season, during her rookie season in Washington. And she scored her first goal on a play that was taken, a corner taken by Mal and then a setup by Shayna. And so that's pretty cool to see her and Mal reunite if Mal stays in free agency.
If.
Don't say that. I said it, but you don't say that.
People are making all these jokes. You might as well throw another joke in. It's just a joke. Everybody calm down.
the I just can't get over it. I can't get over us having Sam stop. It's not something I thought would happen.
Well, remember last episode when I said, what do you think the chances are that we trade away our pick for, a high profile CB, and that happens. So I feel like everyone should thank me because I made that hypothetical turn into the real deal. So you're welcome, everybody.
I think we both manifested this because I had said in a chat on our Discord to my friend Liz, who's in the Discord, that I said if we were going to trade away our pick, the only players that I would want to get back in a return are Alana Cook or Sam Staab. And now here we are. Pick traded away. Here comes Sam.
Here comes Sam.
And now we're Sam FC.
Yep.
Sam Fisher, Sam Feller, Sam Staab. I love it.
Beautiful. And a beautiful graphic to go along with it.
That was very that was 3 pictures put together with my logo on it. It's not much.
Hey, it's so good that Chicago Red Stars themselves posted it on their Instagram story.
I'm very appreciative of that. I don't know if they retweeted it. I have to go back and look, but they did post it on their story. I was very appreciative of that. The positivity that came with the Sam Staab news, even though they had given away the 3rd pick, I think that was a very, I don't know, fair trade, but a trade that a lot of people could accept within the community. And all of the negativity prior to that had come from a lot of the players who were free agents from the Red Stars signing with other teams early in this week. And the first one was Bianca St. George. She signed a 2-year deal with a mutual option in 2026 with the North Carolina Courage. So no longer her summer in Chicago. Of course, she'd leave and then it goes into sub-zero temperatures in the Midwest, which is very ironic. I can't believe it.
I'm devastated, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, that one hurt a lot. But I will say that her going to the Courage make so much sense. Too much sense, in fact. Like with Emily Fox leaving for Arsenal, kind of filling that spot for them. But yeah, I mean, like I tweeted, this might be crying hour. It's not anymore because I'm filled with so much positivity now with Sam FC up in Chicago. But yeah, that probably stings the most out of all of these that we're gonna talk about. But
Yep.
yeah.
So Bianca was a player that was never really allowed to thrive under the old coaching staff, and she really got an opportunity to show who she is these last couple of seasons. And that was really, really exciting to watch. And obviously, other teams took notice. KT0J in our Discord pointed out that Sean Nahas last year had made comments about BSG during the game that they had played against the Red Stars, and how he doesn't like playing against her. So the fact that he gets to coach her now, I'm sure he's very excited about having
Yeah.
her on his team. And I'm sure that her ultimate goal was to become a starter on the Canadian national team. So being part of a rebuilding club like the Red Stars wasn't something that I'm sure she wasn't going to that wouldn't help her, that wouldn't help her in what I would think is her ultimate goal. Um there aren't many players that match the kind of energy that BSG gives you. And we'll miss Double Birds, which is what I call her.
That used to be my Twitter header. That was
We'll
my
never,
Twitter header for like 8 months or
we'll,
something like that for a long time.
yeah, I'll never forget the inception of that nickname. What a game. Oh my gosh. I'm
Just
keeping
yeah.
I'm keeping that emoji in our Discord though. I as players sign elsewhere, I am eliminating some of their emojis, but the double birds will stay. It's still very useful. And it's
It's
so
iconic.
blurry, who knows if it even is BSG.
This is a shame, but you know, you know what's even like a bigger shame is that the team that she signed for is the Courage, because like I have a very strong disliking towards the Courage, but the Current are kind of filling that right now. So we'll see where now. That's my new rankings instead of the jersey ranking is which team do I strongly dislike the most. It's a tie right now
It's a tie
between Current
between,
and Courage.
okay,
Double C's.
double C's. The Current were very much the club that a lot of Red Stars fans did not like at all last
Yeah.
last year because of the signings that they had made in the offseason. They haven't signed any of the Red Stars this free agency period. So
All I can do is laugh at them now because Morgan Bryan went to Orlando.
she did go to Orlando. She also seemed to she was going closer to home as well, it seems. So
Yeah.
that was really nice to see. The the player that probably hurt me the most leaving was Casey Kruger. Um, Casey signed a 3-year contract with the Washington Spirit. I love Casey. She's one of my favorite players in the world. It sucks to see another local product leave the city. She's from Naperville, but that's kind of just the way things are right now. A lot of our free agents are going places, opportunities that are better for their careers. I think she's probably the best 1v1 defender that I've ever seen. She's just a killer on both ends of the field. I'm just gonna really miss her and Caleb, her son in Chicago.
Yeah, the fact that 2 Naperville people left hurts my Naperville heart. How could they leave? No, I'm kidding. Um, when we play against Washington this year, oh my God, I am just so nervous because what you said is true about Casey, one of the best 1v1 defenders in the world. You know, like she is super talented. She's gonna get on that Olympic roster. Probably wouldn't happen if she stayed in Chicago because of the rebuild. But you know, just a lot of pain right now. But that pain, it's gonna go away ever so slowly with all these new signings that are gonna come in here and you know be the next Casey Kruger possibly. But it's a big hole to fill, of course.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch her make that Olympic roster and just absolutely destroy people in that tournament. I just
Yeah,
hope that she doesn't slaughter us when we match up with her.
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, we'll have to see her twice this year. Ugh.
Uh,
No thanks. I know a player that kind of really rocked the community, especially just because of who she is and who she has meant to a lot of people within this fan base, was Yuki Nagasato. She signed a 2-year contract with the Houston Dash. Um, what do you even say about Yuki? You know, a constant presence on and off the pitch, just the ultimate teammate and a fan favorite for years. Like her interactions with fans have always been some of the best. Her interactions with her teammates have always been some of the best things to see. So, like, fans were devastated when she left um, last time when she was traded for uh, to Louisville, only to return, a year later. Um, but Alyssa Nair brought her to play in America, and that's kind of going to be a tough thing to see separated.
yeah, I mean, she's probably gonna retire with the Dash. I don't really see her playing past those 2 years. I honestly think it was kind of inevitable for her to leave. Especially again, I think the constant thing here is it's rebuild time. And so when all of these people leave, of course it's like, yeah, no one wants to no one wants to play in a rebuild, but the more players with experience that there are, the more that will eventually leave. And I think it's time for someone new to shine in the midfield, and I'm just excited to see, who that is. This one didn't really hurt me as much. I feel like when she left the first time, that was kind of like, oh, my heart, but I think it was kind of a good move in the end.
Yeah, I get what you mean about the um her leaving the first time. Probably was like the the heartbreak, like the first heartbreak, watching her leave. And then she comes back, her role had changed. The Well, at least, I mean, off the pitch, her role was still the same. It was make everyone laugh, make everyone in the community smile. And watching her and Sam Kerr play prior to her leaving the first time, that was kind of a connection that I don't think we'll ever see again. Those years were kind of magical with those two, and that's just not something that uh, was recreated in that second stint without Sam. But Homo in our Discord was kind enough to translate Yuki's goodbye video on YouTube. Here's some of the stuff that she had mentioned about her decision to leave. She said that Houston had offered her more money, that her husband didn't mind moving out of Chicago. She didn't want to be part of a rebuild in the later stages of her career. And there were players in Houston that she wanted to play with, including Sophie Schmidt, who she had played with before in Germany. So those are all very understandable things, you know?
Yeah, and especially did you see her post for, or maybe it was on that the Dashes account, how it's snowing outside. It's negative 12 degrees. Of course her husband doesn't mind moving to Houston.
That's a good
But
point.
besides the weather, I mean, yeah. Like it's Yuki's world. We're just living in it. She's gonna kill it on the dash. And again, with the whole rebuild point, probably her last few years as a pro. So might as well live it up in a place that's warm and a place that, they have a good chance of making the playoffs, and that's a good squad over there too. So yeah.
So another player who wasn't a free agent that her departure was a shock on draft day was Erin Wright. She was traded to Racing Louisville for the 15th overall pick in the 2024 draft and $125,000 in allocation money. She was the last remaining member of Mom FC, which is unfortunate. Every single player from that little squad has either retired or moved on to other teams. She spent 9 years with this club, was the co-captain last year. It was a little bit of a surprise, but her request she had requested to be traded to Louisville so that she could be closer to her family. So that was something that was completely understandable, you know.
Yeah, I had been away from my phone for like an hour. So I'm like catching up on Twitter about all this stuff that's happening. First, I see the Ashley Sanchez trade rumor because that didn't get approved until during the actual draft. And then I see that Aaron Wright is leaving. And I literally, I sat there, I threw my phone, I was sitting on my bed, I threw it. And then, of course, I read later about the reason why, but um, another integral part of the team um, gone. And it's just like, wow, there's gonna be a lot of stepping up to do, especially leadership wise now. So that'll be interesting to see
Yeah,
captaincy, vice captaincy part of that.
yeah, she's been around for, so long that she was just kind of one of those players that are synonymous with the Red Stars. And she kind of stepped up in every single spot that she was asked to on and off the field and had performed incredibly well for the club for years. And I'll miss watching her put her body on the line constantly to block balls in the box. And she was always just a ball hawk and a player that is very hard to replace, like you said, both on the field and in that leadership role. Like there's a lot of people that look up to Aaron, and it's just it's not going to be easy to replace a player like her that's been around for so long, especially.
But we got a nice little tweet by Ella Masser who told us to have some faith.
It's true.
And
Massive.
you know what? I'm gonna listen to Ella, and she's cooking along with everyone else in the front office. So we'll see this week, hopefully, some signings. maybe into next week as well. But yeah, Aaron leaving hurts a lot. And honestly, everyone leaving, it hurts, but they're all gonna kill it at their new clubs. So nothing but luck to them.
Yeah, there's so many players leaving, and I understand that, the pain that comes with it. And I just want to point out that, every single one of these players had been on this club for over 5 years. That's why they were free agents outside of Erin, but she had been here for 9 years. And they had experienced this club at its worst off the field. And that's something to not take lightly. They had been through it all, and being somewhere else that may come with more stability in their careers is, what could be best for them. And I want them to be happy, and I'm excited to see them continue their careers. Like, the there are so many players that leave, and it's like a year where you don't even think that it's like their retirement year. And they're like, I'm retiring. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to see this player play again. So the fact that we can still watch these players, I think is a real benefit as a fan. Um, Even if you're not a fan of their clubs that they go to. And like, I'm really happy for them. It's not easy, but I think the future is bright for them. And I think the future is bright for this club as we get to see a rise in young talent who may not have seen the opportunities to play if those players had stayed. Um, like a player like BSG who had sat on the bench for so long and then finally getting an opportunity in these last couple of years with the Red Stars. It's just, there are players where you don't see them a lot these last couple of years, but you'll get to see them now. And I'm really excited about that. Finally, we can kind of get to our draft coverage, um, which was kind of going to be the big story of this week. And then all those things kind of dominated the headlines. And like I said, like, so much has happened. Um, and I really I really do hope that a lot of people are kind of sticking with us, because this is going to be a long one. But so draft coverage. How was your draft day? How are you feeling?
Uh, well, I was getting pretty tired towards the end, but that's okay. I powered through and I watched the whole thing. Um, to be honest, I'm just gonna say right now, we did not need that third pick. I am very confident that we didn't need that, and I felt like it was the right choice to trade that away to get someone like like Sam Staab. But I genuinely there were so many people that I thought was gonna get drafted like way up, and then they just fell all the way down like to the bottom part of the draft, and I was like, huh, okay. But I will say that I want to experience a draft day because it just seems like a blast just to be in that environment and to see moments happen. Uh, like Bay FC's last pick out of BYU. I can't remember her name. Is it Vaca? I think it was,
Yeah.
or something like that. Being the first Tongan player to ever, you know, to potentially play in the league is incredible. Um, but I I learned so much about our new players on draft night. Like the fact that B Franklin plays on the basketball team too at Arkansas, no clue. Did
Yeah.
not know that.
Didn't know that either.
That is fascinating. I read somewhere that she doesn't get a lot of minutes though. I think it might have been in our Discord, but it's still really cool.
They even had a game today. And I went and looked
Yeah.
at the box score to see if she had minutes, and she didn't have any minutes, which I wasn't surprised by, because I was like, you just got drafted in the NWSL. You're gonna play a college basketball game and risk injury? Like, no
Yeah.
way, no way.
Well, she wasn't the only dual sport athlete in the draft, though. I don't
True.
think.
I,
There
I
was
I'm
someone
pretty sure
else
I heard a
plays field
couple.
hockey.
I think I saw that. Yeah, I couldn't
The one
watch.
of the UNC girls.
I had the draft on the whole time. A lot of the time, it was on mute. Um, I was just sometimes I was just listening, and
Yeah,
because one, it's long. Two, I was working. So,
so true.
but here's just a little breakdown for the people who are interested in how everything kind of shook out. So the Red Stars started the day with 5 picks. First round, third pick, they traded that away for Sam Staab. We already covered that. They had the second round, 17th pick. They traded that away for $125,000 in allocation money. They acquired the 10th pick overall from North Carolina in exchange for $175,000 in allocation money, and basically just moved down 7 spots and paid $50,000 and got Sam Staab. That
Yeah,
doesn't seem like a bad trade-off to me.
no, this is perfect. Good job, Red Stars.
So round two, 15th pick overall, they acquired from Louisville in that Aaron Wright trade. The 31st overall pick was their original pick. The 41st overall they had acquired from Seattle Reign last season, along with an international slot uh, that they used on Julia last year, in exchange for last year's 19th overall pick. And so that's how they got the 41st overall. And then they got the 45th overall was also just their original pick. And um, I can't believe that the pick that you and I had chosen last week, before our last episode even came out, undeclares for the draft and it's probably going overseas. And I told people that I didn't know a whole lot about college soccer,
Yeah,
but I was so confident in this pick. And then after she undeclared, there were so many people that were just like, "Ah, that's not a surprise. We knew she was probably going to go play overseas." And I was like,
but
"Well,
like, why
it's a
declare?
surprise to me."
Why declare if you know that you're gonna go play overseas? What's the point?
I'm not sure. I'd
Like,
really have to look into it, but I kind of just I she was out of sight, out of mind.
she's like, I'm already thinking about Paris.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. I'm gonna go play with Corbin Albert now. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Maybe they'll both come play for the Red Stars someday.
Oh my god. Do you want to know a fun fact?
Yes, I would love to know a fun
One of
fact.
the girls on the basketball team I work for went to high school with Corbin Albert.
Really? That is a fun
Yes.
fact. Maybe
Fun fact of the
you
day.
can convince her to convince Corbin
No.
to come back.
No.
We miss her in Illinois. um, so let's actually talk about the draft picks. The ones who
Okay.
the professionals actually picked and not us.
Yeah, the pros, the real
The
pros.
real pros.
Hmm.
The people who get paid to pick stuff.
The
And
empty GM seat.
we have an assistant GM. I'll get to that.
That's it's the official title of GM.
Okay.
Empty GM seat. Yeah.
With the 10th overall pick,
Yeah.
they got Leilani Nesbitt, a midfielder out of Florida State, an international from Bermuda. I really wasn't familiar with her game. Like, I had heard the name, but I didn't do any research on her prior to the
Hmm.
draft. I've since reviewed the film on her since the selection, and I just have to say that every single goal that she scored in the videos that I watched were absolute bangers. Like, I'm pretty sure most of them were from outside the box, which is kind of incredible.
Beautiful.
She's a two-time NCAA champ. 5 goals scored in her first 4 capped matches with the Bermuda national team. She seems like a player that plays with a lot of passion. And some of the things that she said in the interviews has already really excited me about this pick. She spoke with Joe Chatz, who writes for On Tap Sports. He had a call with her, and here's some of the quotes that she said. She said, quote, "My ability to just work hard, to work for the people next to me." She said, quote, "I want to be a good friend and I want to be a good teammate." Also something that you really just want to hear from a player that's getting drafted to your team. The other part that she said was, quote, "They already got that dog and I haven't
Yep.
even met them yet."
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't want a player who speaks that way about themselves?
Exactly. Even like her interview after she got picked, perfection. I was like, as you said earlier, not familiar with your game, but now it's like, sign me up for the fan club.
Absolutely. She
Like,
was like, "I'm ready to go." She's like, "I
yeah,
like." She seemed like she was like, "I want to be on a plane to Chicago right now."
-12 degrees. Sign me up right
Yeah.
now. I don't care what weather I'm playing it. It's gonna be perfect. She honestly kind of, I feel like she's like the next BSG in terms of who's gonna fill that, Chicago grit outside of like Kayla Sharples, of course. Like her and BSG, Ilana Nesbeth, everybody.
Ilani
That's
Nesbeth.
that's who's next up for Chicago grit.
We
It's her.
need we need competition in that midfield, and I think she could really bring that.
Absolutely.
So we'll move on to the 15th overall pick. They selected Jamise Joseph, who seems to go by Mies, which I love. That's cool. Um, Forward midfielder out of NC State. This pick I really didn't expect. I wasn't familiar with her at all.
Same here.
I hadn't heard her name mentioned. I'm sure like she was in people's mock drafts, so I'm sure I had like read her name before, but it wasn't again not a player that I had done some prior research on. She played in the midfield prior to her last season at NC State, but in her last season at NC State, they moved her to center forward on a team that wasn't like super great, and she didn't perform really well in that position. And I think that the club probably could have gotten her with a later pick. But if she's eager to fight for a roster spot, I'm ready to see her play for that.
I think Lauren knows what he's doing. I will just say, like, I was shocked, but for everyone that's like questioning that pick, because I was kind of questioning it too. I was like, like the name was familiar too, because I'm pretty sure that she was in the lineup because Nebraska played NC State when I was there. And I'm pretty sure that was one of my first games that I worked on. I'm pretty sure that she was playing in that game. But Lauren knows what's up. So if he trusts that this is a good pick for us, then I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I completely trust the team that selected her, especially with just the way this whole draft shapes out. I'm very excited for it, so I trust them. They like I said, they played in the midfield prior to last season, and they played really well in that midfield and scored more goals as a midfielder than as a forward. So if they just convert her back to a midfielder, and she can fight for one of those roster spots, that'll be perfect. It's not, I wouldn't, like, obviously you can sit here and question because we don't know the name, but like I said, I don't know college soccer all that much. So it's just because I don't know the name doesn't mean that she's not worth knowing. Now, the 31st overall pick is a name that I did know. They drafted Hannah Anderson, a center back and the team captain of Texas Tech. This is someone who I had mentioned very briefly last week as a player who I didn't even expect to fall to the Red Stars past the first round. Um, so I really think we got first round talent in the third round, which is so great.
Yeah. And I saw a lot of positive posts from, there was this one Texas Tech like podcaster or something. And Hannah Anderson followed us on both accounts on Twitter and Instagram. Beautiful.
That's true. We love it. I've heard a lot about her leadership, captain of Texas Tech. So no surprise there. It's exciting to have that kind of mentality in a player. Like we had just mentioned, losing Aaron as a leader, losing Tierna as a leader. You have to fill those with players who can be leaders. And I think Hannah Anderson can be a leader in that back line. That's something I'm excited for. Obviously, probably not something right away, although you could look at a player um, like Jalen Howell, who is team captain of Louisville in her second season. Like, that's insane. So just because you're young doesn't mean that you can't lead a team.
Yeah.
And obviously, Alyssa's going to be the captain. So I wouldn't expect anybody else to wear that armband, but I'm just thinking in the future, if Hannah Anderson makes this roster and just down the line could possibly be someone that could be a player that's looked up to by all the rest of the players.
Yeah, like you said, I was shocked that she was still available. Honestly, it's such a steal. I last year I made the comment of Ali Schlegel and Penelope Hocking being the steals of the draft. This year, Hannah Anderson. And I feel like, if she makes the roster, could be an incredible sub for us. I don't think she's gonna be a starter as of right now, but you never know, of
I don't
course.
know.
I'm
I don't know.
spitballing. Inspired substitution, I'm just gonna say right now, could be a game changer for us. So I'm excited for her to get started here. And yeah.
A little bit about Hannah Anderson, a little more about Hannah Anderson. Big 12 Defender of the Year, Mac Herman Trophy semifinalists. If the Red Stars don't pick up another center back, unlike Grant, I think she could slot in
Okay.
immediately next to Sam Staab in that back line.
I'm
I
just saying,
really do.
there's a lot of speculation about future center back signing, and I would just like to say, whenever we talk about that, I would just like to say I don't know if Hannah Anderson would start over said person, but
Sure. Sure.
we got
No, I
other picks to
understand
talk
that.
about
But as
per.
I said,
Yeah,
if they don't pick up another center back, I think she slots in there immediately.
and I'll
And
agree with you on that.
I loved everything that she said in her interviews post draft. She like Leilani spoke with Joe Chats from On Tap Sports after she was drafted, and here's just some of the quotes that she said, because I'm very excited about Hannah Anderson after hearing these. She said, quote, "I love to pass out of the back, but I also love to head the ball. I like to attack on set pieces, defend in the box. I would say that probably my favorite thing is to block shots.
Yeah.
That's
What a
that's
baller.
exciting. I mean, she's like 5'10, 5'11, and this team desperately needs height, and they'll really find that in her, you know?
She's gonna. She's. Am I allowed to swear?
Go
We
ahead.
do
Go
cussing
ahead. We
here.
could
She's gonna
swear.
kick ass.
Okay, I thought you were going to go a little further than that,
No,
but
no, no. Because people. I've mostly from my family. They're like, I hate when you swear on your podcast, and I'm like,
well, no one's going to say that in
fine.
my family, so just make sure your family doesn't listen.
Well, actually, I did ask them if they listen. I don't know if they said that they did. She's gonna kick ass. Doesn't matter. If I come up with better curse words, I'll say them.
Here's some more quotes because there's more to get excited about.
Okay.
Thinking that she's gonna kick ass. Here we go. She said, and I quote,
Okay.
"You guys just made that trade to get Sam Staab,
Mm-hmm.
and then Alyssa Nair is just obviously a goat. So I'm really excited to get to meet them and be friends with them. It's just crazy that I'm on the same team as them." I would agree, Hannah. If I were on the same team as Sam Staab and Alyssa Nair, I too would be very excited and
Yeah.
would think it's absolutely insane to be on a team with those players.
I would just be starstruck. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. If I stepped on a field with Alyssa Nair, who is my hero, um, I I would just I wouldn't she'd be mad at me because I would be giving up goals because I would just be standing there starstruck that I'm,
Yeah.
5 feet away playing soccer with Alyssa Nair. Yeah, that's nuts. The last thing that she said was, quote, "I know that Chicago is the place for me." And what I have been saying for weeks is if people want to play here, these are the people who I want on the team. And if someone says, I know that Chicago is the place for me, that's who I want on my team.
Absolutely.
If they want to be here, I want them here. 100%.
We will show you around. We will give you the spots to go to. You have to go to Portillo's, of course, ride a passage. I can't think of any other Chicago spots that I'm not gonna say deep dish because that stuff sucks. But
I also maintain that it's not pizza. I really
yeah,
hate when people say Chicago pizza sucks. That's not Chicago style pizza. That is deep
yeah.
dish pizza. And then Chicago style pizza is like tavern style pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's Chicago
Exactly.
pizza. So we can get into this in some other episode, but
Well,
when we bring a New
we don't even
Yorker on or
have to.
something.
I interviewed Subria Whitaker a few years ago on my old show, and we had like a half an hour conversation about what Chicago pizza is. Subria is such a gem. She does a lot of work with Grow the Game. If you guys didn't know, she's done a few raffles at Red Stars games and at my work, Kane County. And of course, the Sky. I can't believe I'm forgetting the whole main point of her thing, which is women's basketball. But a 30-minute conversation about what Chicago pizza is. But yeah, no lose. That's not a part of the tour. Gotta show these players the true Chicago style pizza. It's ridiculous, of course, that this has to be a conversation in the first place. But yeah.
We'll fight anybody.
Yeah.
So getting back on track with the 41st overall pick, a pick that I'm actually very excited about is B. Franklin, we had mentioned earlier, a midfielder out of Arkansas. She is a 5'10 midfielder who just loves to head the ball. Of her 15 career goals, 11 of them came off of headers, which is nuts.
I think her first goal for us is gonna be a header. I'm just gonna manifest
That
that
is
into
an
existence. It's like the perfect
easy
way to
bet
start
to
your
take.
career.
That is an easy bet to take. Easy.
Too easy.
5'10" midfielder. I love that. Just get her in here. Get her on the
Fly her
squad.
in right now.
I keep saying we need height, and we got height.
You got height.
It's
That's your late
important.
Christmas gift.
I accept. I don't like
Chicago
gifts,
Height
but I
FC.
accept. Chicago height. We still need somebody who's over 6 feet, though. We need
I'm
somebody.
sure
Our
we'll sign an
goalkeeper's 5'9".
international.
Our goalkeeper's 5.
Don't remind
Although
me.
I think Mackenzie Wood is 6 feet. No, she's also 5'9". I take that back.
Both of them are 5'9".
Yeah, Mackenzie Wood's 5'9" as well.
Wow.
So I don't think we have any six footers. That's unfortunate. But now we have a 5'10" midfielder who could possibly make the roster. We have a 5'10" center back who could possibly make the roster. The player who we'll talk about after this, I think, is also like 5'9". We've placed center back. So we got a little bit of height now. One more 5'7", 5'6", 5'5".
Don't hate on short people.
I'm not hating on short people. I'm just saying
You're
that a
getting
roster.
close.
I'm just saying that a roster needs balance. And with balance, you need height. And if these
Okay.
players can make the roster, height is important in
So basically what you're saying is,
soccer.
Lauren, no 5'2" people. Get out of here with that. Which means
Except
no one my height is
resign
allowed.
resign 5'2" Mal, and we'll be good.
Oh, I'm the same size as Mel?
I think so. I
Okay.
think she's like 5'2", 5'3", something around there. I have
Interesting.
I have too many spreadsheets with player
You're the height
information.
guy apparently now, so
Let's get back to our very tall midfielder who we just drafted. Uh SEC midfielder of the year in 2023. As we mentioned, a multi-sport athlete who is still currently on Arkansas's women's basketball roster. Fun side note, B. Franklin was a teammate of Chicago Red Star Sammy Fisher, member of Sam FC, at Notre Dame before B transferred to Arkansas. I saw a couple of stat sheets where they had been on the field together. I don't think they ever assisted either one of their goals to each other, but I just started cross checking some stuff when I saw some transfer names just to see if years matched up, and I thought that was a really fun fact to get a teammate of a current Chicago Red Star onto into camp.
yeah, I didn't know that she went to Notre Dame originally until I looked in the Discord. I had the draft chat open up in my one of my tabs, many tabs on my computer that night. So it was interesting to learn all this stuff as I was watching and making the graphics and all that. Do you think she's gonna leave the basketball team soon, or like?
Well, preseason starts between the 22nd and the 29th. So, yes, I would imagine that she would have to leave it immediately if she wanted to make the roster.
Say bye-bye to the warm weather. It's gonna come back to the weather because I keep looking at the bottom of my screen and how it's.
Oh, my
What's the
window's
temperature by
behind me.
you?
It is currently -2.
Okay, yeah, it's -12 here, so not
Well, I
great.
don't know the real feel. Is that real feel or is that actually -12
Well,
by
it's what
you?
my phone. It's let's
Oh,
see. My phone says -10, but my
jeez.
computer says -12.
Okay, well, it's
So we'll say
coming
that's real.
because I'm east of you, so it's coming to me.
Have fun.
Joy. Um, Last pick of the draft. By the way, you mentioned the draft chat. That was a lovely time,
Yeah.
both in the text channel and the voice channel.
Oh, I did not listen to the voice channel. I don't know what happened in the voice
You
channel,
should
but I hope it
have.
was funny.
It
Was
was
it
a
Noah like
it was a
causing
blast.
causing chaos?
Noah is the embodiment of chaos.
Okay.
Noah, because I usually lead the voice chat stuff just to kind of drive the conversation. because I was working, I couldn't do that. And Noah absolutely killed it, just kind of because he knows so much about college soccer that
He's coming for my spot.
everyone was kind of, that's not true. Everyone was kind of looking to him to for guidance on each and every
Yeah.
single pick, not just the Red Stars picks. And it was just a bunch of laughs, and everyone seemed to have a really good time. And I was really appreciative of the fact that we could have something like that again. We haven't really done that in a while. And I was worried because I was unavailable to constantly be within the conversation that people wouldn't want to join. But it was immediately filled with like a dozen plus people, and everyone seemed to have a really good time and were within it, or leaving and coming back for hours to watch the draft live, and that was really fun to be a part of, and really exciting to see within this community.
Did you see what he put for the suggestion for bingo?
Yes. Yes, I did.
And then I changed it because I wanted to be I didn't want to be nice. See, if I was posting that on
On your
my
own.
old account,
Yeah.
I would have done it.
See, I'm not mean, Grant.
I know, but I the difference between us, I feel like, is I will like go the extra step to be like pettier or whatever. You're just Mr. Nice Guy LT over here.
And we need, like I said, balance. Gotta
Yeah,
have balance.
chaos, not chaos,
Calmness, I like to call it.
calmness. Mm. See, I am not that.
I'm a very calm person.
I yeah, there's a lot of I literally was looking at the bingo sheet and I was like, oh, I don't want to change it, but you know what? I will because this is not my account. It's LT's
Thank
account
you.
and I'm not gonna do them dirty.
You did a great job
So
covering the draft uh, while I was indisposed. So thank you very much for that.
10 out of 10 for admin duties. So
10 out of 10.
yeah.
100%.
We drafted mostly midfielders. So I had midfield for 3
Three
and then
midfielders, two
defender for
defenders.
2. And then I was like looking at the screen and I was like, it says midfielder, forward, and defender. And I was like, well, I gotta pick one, huh?
You
I'll just
picked
pick
correctly.
midfielder. Yeah. I
You
was a little
picked correctly.
nervous.
Um,
But
Speaking of one of those defenders, we have not talked about yet.
do you want to
We
say the slogan? Say it.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm gonna let you say it.
No, I want you to say it.
Okay. Go Big Ten or go home. But the home now is Chicago.
It's another player from Michigan
Welcome,
State. So
welcome home, Celia Gaynor.
Celia Gaynor, defender out of Michigan State, a name I saw a lot as a potentially good pickup to play center back. So first team All Big Ten, loves to score as well. Can't ask much more of a fourth round pick, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel comfortable talking about anyone that goes to Michigan State because I'm still hurt. I'm
You don't even want to
still
talk
hurt.
about Ava Cook then? You don't like talking about Ava Cook?
Well, Ava Cook wasn't there because I got to talk about my team. Ava Cook wasn't there when heartbreak happened for me and my
Still
team.
Michigan State.
I will say Michigan State has to share the title with Nebraska for a whole year before a new team is crowned for regular season champion.
Mm,
So I'll just throw that out there. But I guess, Celia won that this year too. So
it's true. I totally didn't think that's the slogan you were talking about. Go Big Ten or
what
go
do you
home.
think I was gonna say?
Let's get back on track.
Uh-uh. When do I ever want to be on track? No, I'm kidding.
No, I said
I like going off
I was
topic.
saying I always say let's get back on track, so I didn't want to say it. So I thought
Uh
you were just like, yeah, let's get back on track because we were
yeah,
talking
let's
about the
get
45th.
back on track and talk about how awesome Celia Gaynor is. And I would like to say her Instagram bio is perfect.
I didn't read it. What does it say? Do you remember?
I think it's footy and iced coffee or it's like something like that. And I was like, that is perfect
That's
because
funny.
I also like those two things.
Hey, relatable.
Relatable.
You love when they're just like us, right?
Yeah.
A fun side note, just like our last fun side note, Celia Gaynor was the teammate of Chicago Red Star Amanda Kowalski at Butler before Celia transferred to Michigan State.
Beautiful.
Both
Although I
Celia,
thought I read that they didn't play.
the person that she missed at Michigan State was Ava Cook. She never played with
Okay,
Ava.
maybe that's what I'm
Maybe
talking
that's what
about
you're
then.
thinking of. Yeah, they
Okay.
missed each other by a year, her and Ava. So I'm pretty sure at Butler, her and Amanda Kowalski had played together, which is exciting. Another player to kind of come in and show a former teammate of them the ropes of the professional league.
And it's always nice that these players have that connection prior to. And I saw a tweet about how, a lot of these draftees reached out to, veterans of the league, and especially how the NWSLPA was there to greet them after they got off the stage. And I'm sure, of course, they called these other players that weren't there, but it's nice to know those things beforehand or during the process of that. They're not alone in this, because this is obviously, it's a huge step to go from playing in college to now being a pro, having to move cities again. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's very important to kind of have those first steps into the league with people who have been through it before, and an organization like the Players Association that has been helping players for years with everything that they need. So those are our draft picks. I'm very excited for the season, for the preseason. Um, they are so close to getting back to soccer. Like I mentioned, preseason starts as early as January 22nd or as late as the 29th. We'll update you all further on our thoughts on each draftee and the non-roster invitees that get invited into camp as the preseason goes on. Um, Remember that not like we mentioned before, not every single player that was drafted as a guarantee to be on the team. Even players that are currently on the team aren't guaranteed to stay either. There are currently 18 players on the Chicago Red Stars roster, one player who's on loan, and then 5 draftees. So if you signed all the draftees and got that loan back, that's 24 players. And if they all made it, that's like right in between the 22 to 26 player roster spots. But this club has 3 free agents left unsigned. If those 3 make a return or any of them make a return, and they still have a lot of or need a lot of help in some areas, including goalkeeper, with only 2 currently on the roster, one at the start of the season, if the club doesn't recall Mackenzie Wood's loan prior to it ending on June 30th. So, speaking of the needs of this club, Meg Linehan of The Athletic had reported this weekend that the Red Stars are in the process of bringing international help. So, unless that's already happened by the time that you're listening to this episode, expect even more players to be in camp. Do you have any ideas, Grant, on who this international help could be?
I mean, there's like so many that pop into my head, but I will say I can only think about one club right now that we have a partnership with, and that's Wolfsburg. So I mean, it's gotta be someone from there. And if it's not, then I'm gonna be curious to where they're looking, because it could mean somebody in Australia. It could mean somebody, you know, playing in Spain. literally it could be anywhere. So I genuinely have no clue, but if I had to make a guess, I would say it's someone from Wolfsburg, but I don't know. I kind of lost for words here because I'm only familiar really with the WSL. Um, I feel like I know a little bit more about maybe the German league next than the other ones, but yeah, I don't know if anyone from the WSL would come play for CRS, but yeah.
I would be surprised if that were the case.
Yeah.
Um, Last week, the Red Stars announced the hiring of Masaki Hemi, someone who has worked with Lauren Donaldson a lot in the past, or in years past, and they were very much in desperate need of assistant coaches. So this is a really good hire for them, especially his connections as a coach around the world, including having coached in Japan. And speaking of assistant coaches, Ella Masser's wife, Babette Peter, was confirmed to be the assistant GM of the club this week, a role that she's been in since the beginning of 2022, but was never announced. There were things that I had seen on social media and within our Discord of people like just figuring out this information several weeks ago, and finally it was confirmed, which was good because everyone kind of thought that there was no GM, and to see that there was someone doing something, even though things were happening, you didn't know who was doing them, but
Yeah.
the fact that you now know that it was Babette Peter that was doing them is important. And Ella Masser had tweeted on draft day, like Grant said, to quote, have a little faith, folks. And then after that, after the draft, she tweeted again saying, quote, oh, this is just the beginning. Just hold on.
I have so much trust. I have so much trust right now. I believe the words that are being said.
Yep. And I agree with you that uh, it's like something probably could happen with Wolfsburg. Um, Both Ella Masser and Babette Peter are veterans of the German Bundesliga side, Wolfsburg. They have a strategic partnership with the Red Stars, as far as we know, that's still going on. So I'd imagine it'll be someone from that squad. I just, I, it just seems like the obvious choice.
Yeah, I honestly like I feel like if because we have like 4 international spots, right? Or something like that.
So 5 spots in total. One's taken by Julia Bianchi. If we sign um, Leilani Nesbeth, she'll take a second one. So there'll be
Okay.
3 open spots at the
I
beginning of
would
the
say out of the
season.
3, one of them has to be for them. But I would be surprised if we didn't get someone from over there.
I
I
would
don't
just
know. Just because
be,
of the partnership.
yeah, I'd be surprised by that. And I would be surprised, especially based on the reports, that they
Yeah.
wouldn't make any international signings. Like we spent a couple of years just with open international spots. It's like, what are you doing? Like, let's get some internationals in here. Um, and so hopefully they kind of fill that. But another thing that they need to fill is the GM role. And new club president Karen Lietzau said in an interview with CBS Sports, which I encourage you to read. It's a good interview that has a lot of very good quotes in it. I had posted it on our social media, and I'll put it in the link in the description of this episode too, so you can read it. Um, she says in there that the Red Stars are, quote, hoping to take that position to a level that hasn't been seen in the NWSL. So we're excited about that. What that could possibly mean, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe hiring someone for that position from overseas, someone who has made a immense impact in women's soccer overseas, maybe even just soccer in general overseas. I'm really just not quite sure what taking that position to something that the NWSL hasn't seen could possibly mean.
It has to be a big name, or else those words wouldn't be said. Like, that's the only thing I can think. It's got to be someone that's been involved for years.
Yeah,
That's the only
just
thing I can really think
a
of.
recognizable name,
Yeah.
and maybe not a household name, but a name that you would look up and be like, "Oh, that's what they do? That's who's been doing that?" Like with Karen Lietzau, like when they announced that she became the club president, if you hadn't known, like the importance of her and her appointing Sally Yates for the Yates report, like that was something that you could immediately look up and be like, "Oh, so she gets it. Like she's been in it and she could take this club somewhere with her experience." So hopefully it's a name like that that really just gives people inspires confidence in people and in the fan base and in the community.
More positivity.
Yeah, more that's what I'm all about. I just I'm a positive person when it comes to the Red Stars. I always have been, and I never will not be. So expect it from me, and because that's what you're gonna get.
With me, not so much. No, I'm kidding. No, no, I've been following for too long to be all negative. I feel like you can still be angry and support, which is mostly me, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it comes with sports. Everyone can be upset with what their team is doing and the moves that they make. I just like to find the little things that you can see positive. Like I said before, there are now the potential of 24 players on this roster. People make jokes about, can you even field a team? Yes, there's 24 players on this roster. You could field two teams. Like there's no joke there. It's not like a couple years ago when the season ended and they had like 13 people rostered.
Yeah.
There's more
That was
than
quite a time.
yeah, but it's just that's the way of the game. And then clubs make moves, clubs sign players. So it's not a surprise that this is happening and people are suddenly looking at the Red Stars and being like, "Oh, they're actually doing positive things." And I sit here and I go, "Well, I told you that they would do positive things. Like this shouldn't be unexpected. They're not going to just sit on their hands and not do anything and just field the same team as last year with a bunch of players missing. It
Yeah.
just wasn't going to happen."
I will say this new draft class gives me so much hope, and I hope that other people feel the same way about it, especially from those interviews that Joe Chats did with Leilani Nesbitt and Hannah Anderson. So that's a good reason to get excited, I think.
Yeah, last year's draft class really excited me, and this year's draft class is exciting me as well. And I want good things for this club, and I want them to succeed, and I want people to watch this club and have fun. And that's why I started this community, and that's why I wanted to start a podcast like this so people could have a space where you may be able to sit alone and feel all these horrible things are happening to your club, but now you have other people that can help you see the positives within it that are happening, and just people to talk to about this club and to get you excited about what's to come. And I hope we're doing that for you, because it is something that, like, what we're trying to build is something really special. And what I've seen within the last couple of years has already been special, especially to me. But the feedback from the community as well has also been very important to me, and I hope very important to others as well.
And now it's time for a word from our sponsor, Discord.
I know we talk about it so much.
No,
It's just that's where the
see,
community is, you know, like all the, like, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Like, I can have reactions with people on there, and I can interact with them and have comments with them and post things. But the Discord really is where the community is. It's just constant talk about the club and just other things within the sport that people love. Like, people were watching the WSL games on Sunday and talking about those. Like, that's has nothing to do with the Red Stars, but the fact that people can find other people to discuss those things with within this community is important, especially for what you may see as just people who like the Red Stars. But you'll never know what you're kind of going to find within the community that other people can relate to, that you also enjoy outside of this club.
yeah, that's the Discord. Even though I don't participate in it a lot, I do read through it every
We
day.
have lurkers. It's fine. I like it.
Yeah, I'm
You can
not I'm
lurk.
not one of those types to,
You
chat
don't
it up all the
have you
time.
don't have to talk. No one I don't force anybody
I have
to
to talk on here.
yeah, of course, but I don't force anybody to talk within the Discord. I don't say, like, you have to message people
Yeah.
to be involved. I don't say you have to join our voice channels to be involved. You can join them and just listen. You don't have to speak. You
And
can
that's the best part.
It is the best part. Just joining and hearing people talk about the club, um, that we all love. It's just it's very exciting to be a part of, and I really do enjoy it. So the last thing that I wanted to say on this episode is that I really do hope that the Red Stars sign Mal Swanson and Ella Stevens by the time that this episode comes out. We really need those
Please.
players on this roster. We desperately need Mal, right?
Desperately. Like, unless we sign some amazing striker from overseas, whatever. Like,
Still need her.
Mal Swanson, you are in Chicago forever because of Dansby, I will say. So you gotta deal with us. Sorry, not sorry. She's staying. I don't really care
She is
what
staying. I know.
Louisville tries to do or all that nonsense. You are a Chicago Red Star. So the end.
So for us here at Red Stars Report, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and anywhere else that you find your podcasts. If you want to see our reactions, you can watch us on our YouTube page, Red Stars Report. Subscribe to our show wherever you watch and listen, and turn on those notifications to see when new episodes go up. Make sure that you're following us at Red Stars Report on all of our social media channels to keep up with the latest news between episodes. If you're a listener and you enjoy discussing things about the Red Stars, and even anything within soccer, women's sports in general, I hope that you join our Discord server. As we mentioned, I'll put a link in the description, an invite link, so you can join that. I really did love hanging out with everyone who was watching the draft live. Shout out again to Noah in the Discord for kind of running the show while I was at work. He did a great job. And Thanks to everyone who followed Grant's draft coverage on social media. And thanks to the Red Stars and the draftees for sharing Grant's draft posts and graphics. It's been a lot of fun getting back into all of this as the season kind of starts ramping up. Um, Next time you see us, the team will probably be within their preseason or about to start their preseason. So look out for those roster updates and don't forget to subscribe to us so you can catch us on the next episode of Red Stars Report.